I guess speaking about implementation, we've now got, I guess the bit where the rubber hits the road for us in many ways, joined up thinking. We're now fortunate to have both Megan Brown and Allan Smillie, co-chairs of the Joined Up Thinking work group, to tell us just kind of where we're going with joined up thinking. We started in 2013 with joined up thinking, and it had universal kind of success, lots of positive feedback globally, but again, as an industry, it worked okay in the UK, but we could have done more with it. Taking the lessons learned from 2013 and working them this year in 2014 has given us a much stronger, we think, programme, much easier for you to use and implement in your organisations. And with Megan and Allan, I'm going to give you a sense of where we're going with it, what we're doing with it, and how you can help us bring it into reality. Thanks.
I seem to be up here on my own. Thank you very much, Les, and thanks very much to everybody here today for giving us an opportunity to tell you where we're going with joined up thinking for 2015. But I think probably a good place to start is to look at in a little bit more detail than Les has given you where we started from. So, maybe I should introduce myself first. My name's Megan Brown. I'm the Incident-Free Program Manager for Maersk Oil in the UK, and my co-chair, Allan Smillie, is the Telecoms TA for TAQA, and he'll be with you shortly. What is joined up thinking? It really came about through trying to bring together some of the thinking that was already existing within step change in safety across some of the different working groups that had perhaps worked slightly in silos before. And the big intent for the working group was to create some engagement through providing some presentation material in the form of slide packs and also small films to try and help support the industry in its desire to reduce hydrocarbon leaks. So what we did was look at some of the issues that the industry was trying to tackle around hydrocarbon leak reduction and try and bring those together into some sort of engaging material that could be used by the industry to try and help raise awareness of those issues and also some of the best practices that were existent within the oil and gas industry to try and create some learning and sharing across the industry from different perspectives. And those different perspectives really came about through bringing people together who already sat in different working groups in step change, whether it was in competence or workforce engagement, or like myself in the slightly difficult human factors working group, Les? That nebulous working group. And most importantly, perhaps, was bringing together some of that softer thinking in together with some of the people from the Asset Integrity Working Group to bring the technical and the human together, Tanya. It's beginning to happen. So the big part of what we were trying to do was to support the industry, though, in an initiative that it already had, which was to try and reduce hydrocarbon leaks by 50% in 3 years, which was a pretty big challenge. And I think as we had been working in silos perhaps in the past, there was a new desire to bring together some of those people and to consider not just the technical or not just the human, but how do we work it together? How do we create something that is just about the way that we work? And as an industry, we did quite well on that, at 48% reduction. And I'd like to think that some of what we did in joined up thinking helped with that. It's certainly no silver bullet, it's just one thing amongst many that we all do to try and reduce hydrocarbon leaks. And what we ended up putting together was a series of presentations and small films around a few topics that everybody in the industry, I think, is grappling with, whether it's safety critical elements and how we manage those, or small bore tubing, and the competence around making up jointed pipes, control of work, etc. And in the middle of that sat the Piper 25 conference. So whilst we can take no credit in the Joined Up Thinking Working Group for the Remembering Piper film, I think that came out of the Workforce Engagement Group. What was nice was that it was brought together along with a very strong branding that we'd established in Joined Up Thinking, and formed a centerpiece for what we were doing that year. So the slide packs went out along with the films on a fairly regular basis across 2013, and were used certainly by my own company on that schedule within safety engagement sessions that we already had planned in across the company, both onshore and offshore. And I think numerous companies used it in that way. But we did have, we did have some challenges. The initial challenge in a work group like ours, where you have and really want offshore engagement in that working group, is trying to bring everybody together to be creative and to work on the material. And we really struggled with that, and we still struggle with it. We have some offshore team members in the Joined Up Working Group this year, and again, just trying to organize so that they can take a part in what we're trying to put together and make sure that their voice is heard in all of the material that we develop is really, really quite tricky. Particularly you have several offshore people in the working group. Trying to create time where we can all get together is difficult, but it needs to be. We need to ensure that their voice is in the room, because actually when it is, it really brings to life what we're trying to do. The other thing that we've struggled with maybe is getting that material out to the offshore community. And we have been sending all of the material through the focal points in the member companies. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And my challenge to you is, do you know who your focal point is? And are you asking them for what's coming up from step change, what's coming out, and how we're going to plan to use it? And if you are a focal point, I really hope you're engaging with your entire business on what step change is producing, because not only what we produce in the Joined Up Working Group, but all of the working groups produce some fantastic resource material. You've seen the stuff from Sadie, from Ian this morning, that we as an industry really need to tap into. So that challenge is there in the room for us to use what all of us in our working group and the other working groups are working so hard to put together. Some of our packs went down extremely well, and I guess the small bore tubing, and particularly the jointed packs, proved a great success. And I know that within my own company, they held a lot of resonance, and we actually changed some of the things that we were doing based on the best practice that was presented in those packs. Those packs are still available. They're still online. They're still around for people to use. They don't go away. They will form a library of information that we can go back to, which is great. As I said, Piper 25, although developed by the Workforce Engagement Group, hitched a ride on the very strong branding that I'm really proud that we have established within the Joined Up Thinking Working Group. And I think that that worked really well, because the more we present this as an integrated piece of work, all of the step change piece, the stronger it will be. As I said, I think we did play our part in trying to help reduce hydrocarbon releases. And I guess the next challenge is continuing that support. And Allan will talk a little bit more about how we do that. And the other thing is that now, because of the intranet, obviously, and the internet, the packs are being used worldwide, and they certainly, within our company, are used in all of our international locations, and we'll continue to do that with the joined up thinking work for 2015 as well. So it's not just part of how do we reduce hydrocarbon leaks in the UK, but it's becoming part of how do we reduce hydrocarbon leaks internationally. At this point, I'd like to hand over to Allan. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Allan Smillie. I'm a Telecoms Technical Authority with TAQA, and along with that role in the Safety Rep focal point for the onshore and the offshore reps. Been part of the Joined Up Thinking work group for coming up in a year now, and very lucky to be part of that group. We've got some very experienced professionals within there that are dedicated to helping you and helping deploy this material that we're hoping to do. Got professionals like Megan, who can deal with presentations like this, despite the fact I changed the slide pack at 11 o'clock last night. She did well today. So where are we going now? What we try to do? Well, basically, we want to communicate to you the different issues that make barriers stronger or weaker with hydrocarbon releases. It's quite a mouthful, but basically that's what we're intending to do. We want to help with the education side and with this delivery. So how we plan to do that? Well, we have yet again, we've now got a series of videos that we're looking to deploy over 2015 into the beginning of 2016. Plan is to deploy these every 2 months, and based on feedback that we received from different groups that we've been engaging with over the last couple of months, our plan is to make it easier for you. So we'll be, as Megan said, we'll be contacting the focal points ahead of time. We'll make the videos and the packs available ahead of time. And hopefully we can get some good engagement. So what the video is going to be on? Well, building on the branding for Pipeline 25, initially there was 6 Cs, and in a lot of the original documentation that came out, you could see 6. However, in working with the hydrocarbon release group, it became evident that there was incidents that were coming up that couldn't easily be categorized in some of the work that had been done previously, and so we added on the end there change management, and basing on those, that's how we're going to present the next set of videos. Now, at this point, I'm going to actually invite James and Colin to show you how we set up the video on this. Oh, we've got the video here.
In the offshore industry, we work in an extraordinarily demanding, potentially highly dangerous environment. Disasters on the scale of Piper Alpha are mercifully rare, and that's testament to the professionalism of all of us, as we each have a part to play. But, in all honesty, we've been lucky too. Disasters may be rare, but hydrocarbon releases are still common, too common. And if we keep having hydrocarbon releases, the chances are that one of them will ignite, and that could be catastrophic. Let's look at a real near miss that could easily have resulted in disaster. It happened recently on an offshore site supporting a 3-phase oil, gas and produced water separation process, using high pressure and low pressure separators in series. The oil and gas content of the produced water was reduced by hydrocyclones and a degasser before disposal. The produced water from the degasser was also used for sand jetting in the high pressure and low pressure separators. In addition, there was a hazardous open drain system containing a disposal caisson from which any accumulated oil was pumped back into the low pressure separator via the low pressure flare liquid knockout drum. When a level gauge failed in this disposal caisson, a temporary workaround solution was found, which involved running the caisson pump until the fluid looked to be mostly seawater. But this wasn't subject to change management procedures or controls, so few people on the site knew about it. The result was the introduction of aerated seawater into the low-pressure separator. This was used for sand jetting in both separators, which was not considered in the original design or inspection regime. Over the next couple of years, there was a significant increase in the corrosion rate of the process pipework downstream of the high-pressure separator, resulting in pinholing of the line and a loss of containment. It was only during a separate study that the workaround was discovered, and only then was the presence of seawater in the system and the subsequent high corrosion rate explained. Like just about every incident or near miss, this one happened because of mistake or an oversight in one or more key areas of safety. These key areas include control of work, complacency, communication, competency, culture, change management, and commitment. If a critical situation were to occur because of a failure in one or more of them, the potential result would be catastrophe.
Gauge fail, which was not repaired promptly as it was seen as low priority. Temporary workaround, which was not temporary and not subject to management of change or temporary work instructions. Aerated seawater introduced, which was not considered in the original corrosion risk assessment for the pipework. Risks not considered. Increased corrosion, which initially was not highlighted due to the infrequency of the inspections derived from the initial corrosion risk assessment. Pinholing, leading to hydrocarbon release.
In this case, the main cause of the problem was failure in change management. The near miss would almost certainly never have happened if the workaround had been subjected to the correct on-site procedures and controls. Effective change management at the time would have ensured that the problem was fixed correctly. That's just one release, and maybe we can learn by other people's mistakes. Let's ask ourselves,
how do you recognise changes occurred in your job? How can we manage change at our site? Can you think of an example where change management has failed? How are you playing your part to manage change?
play your part.
So, that's the first of our videos there. You can see it's still in beta form right now. It's not that the guy's voice breaks halfway through it. We've made a little change in the presentation, and so that was just a filler point until we get the re-recording done. There are some highlights in the video that we've tried to do with it. In all of these videos, the 7 videos, are going to come from safety incident reports. We're going to take a little bit of theatrical license in the method it's deployed, but essentially they've all come from original incidents. And they've come from incidents that we believe there's maybe a trend. It's not just single isolated points where this has come up. Trying to make it a little bit more technical and engaging, trying to raise the bar a little bit, especially in the language and what is presented. It is designed more for the offshore staff. It's not that anybody onshore, the onshore staff not get anything of it, but it's designed in mind with people working at the tools. Not politically correct. We're using some language in there that we've gone back and forward, talking about things being lucky, talking about catastrophes. We're not trying to imply that the offshore side is full of imminent danger, but we're trying to find ways to help you make your environment safer when you're offshore. They're all focused on one of the 7 C's of safety, so there's every one of them will be a point of discussion around about it. And finally, they're designed to solicit discussion. There's a point in there in the video near the end where you'll see the writing in red, and then change management is the one that popped out in this particular one. Some of you watching the video may think, well, maybe that was complacency. Why didn't somebody check or replace the gauge? what was the culture at the time. There's a whole lot of different things that it can be. They're not purely isolated just on the one thing. And we're hoping that with that and with the points at the end, discussion points, that allows for someone to talk more to your group and to your discipline that's actually going on offshore. Well, our deployment methodology, we've had a lot of feedback on the different methods that we've deployed our videos and our packs over the years. And so our goal is to make this easy, as it's been said, easy to prepare, easy to read, easy to watch. We want it so that there's going to be different people presenting this. It may be somebody like a safety rep like myself, a little bit less experienced in these matters, to somebody very experienced in delivery. And we don't know who this is going to go to. We're trying to make it that it's going to go to different groups. It's not dependent on one set there. We have a plan for the schedule. We're very committed to this schedule. We know that you have HSE plans and you have your own sets. So we want it so that you can rely on us that we deploy when we say we're going to deploy. The documentation that's going to be going along with these, there's not a lot of documentation. Our plan is to increase the original safety report. We plan to, well, we've developed a sheet that helps presenters get the most out of this. So it allows more questions to be asked. It allows a little bit of guidance on people how to present this and how to get more out of the audience that they're presenting to. One of our key issues that we've had is getting information to you. We've had a couple of sessions so far. We've also tried to invite the focal points. Our focal points are our key input or way into the companies. And so our plan is to email and communicate the focal points ahead of time to let them know that the packs are available on the website. But anybody with a login to the site will also be able to download these packs as well. We're not going to be big. We know there's challenges with bandwidth offshore. There's challenges in deploying material off there. But we think coming from the website is probably the better way to do it. Our main goal is we want this to be used. We don't want to see CDs or USBs sitting in drawers. We want this to be a tool. It's our goal to try and get this as far into your companies to be able to deploy this. And essentially, we want this to make a difference. We want to continue in the vein of this continual improvement for offshore. We want to reduce our incidence of hydrocarbon leaks offshore. This is our deployment schedule. The packs will be available. Our plan is about a week beforehand for download. But this is how we plan to deploy that. So roughly last week in January, change management should be available, and we'll go from there. But we will communicate that out ahead of time. Workplace integration. Again, a big part of this is we want to be part of your company. We want to get this and get this into all levels. We don't want it just to be a high-level thing. We don't want this just to be a safe direct deployment. We want you to have the ability to be behind this, which is why the documentation that we've put out will allow you to plan and prepare at all levels. Again, we want this to be part of the asset culture. Each of your assets will have various different cultures on there. We want you to be, say, excited, but I want you to be waiting in anticipation for these videos to come out to allow us to be able to deploy them. And finally, feedback is a major portion of this for us. We want this to be a living program. So part of the pack and the information that we put out allows a method for that feedback to come back to us so that we can act on it fully. We've had a great couple of sessions this year. We've learned a lot. And some of the assumptions that we've had about how we've deployed have been crushed, which has been good, and it's allowed us to improve a little bit more what we're trying to do for you. We've had some challenges with this so far. Sharing of information. A lot of times when we get some of these incidents through, immediately starts a discussion amongst us of, well, if you think that's bad, this is what happened with our asset, we did this, and we know this story, and I'm sure all of you all have your own unique and individual stories about things that you've seen offshore. But a lot of these things, a lot of legal departments to protect your companies, a lot of this we can't share, and it's one of the issues again with Sadie, we need to be able to get this information out there. So Spend a lot of time making sure that we get the right incidents out to you. Keeping information relevant. The current incidents that we're looking back are only going back 3 years. We're trying to make them things that have happened in recent history. We're not looking to go back in the dim and distant past. We want these to be things that are in current memory and things that you can't say, well, that just happened in the past, that will not happen now. These are happening now. And we've got the usual challenges of a group of volunteers. We all come from different aspects, different places throughout Aberdeen, all different companies, and we're best possible. We try to keep up our 2-week meeting schedule in order to make this deployment work for you. So, 2014 just now, we're ready to deploy, or in the process of deploying these for 2015, and we're looking forward to 2016. Our goal right now is to get the first 3 videos deployed and out the way, give us a little bit of breathing space, make sure we know what we're doing in order to plan for 2016. And again, that's why your feedback is important. We want to know that what we're doing is relevant and helpful, and make sure we're going in the right direction. We're already receiving feedback on the videos. We think that's great, but can you do this as well and add on to that, and maybe go into some different areas. We're very focused on hydrocarbon release right now, and but that may change. And in conclusion, it's going to be a busy 2 years for us. We've got a lot going on with this. Again, we want to make sure this goes out. We are a work group that is committed to getting this out to you. We're not sitting back. We're not hiding away from this challenge. And one of our key things, though, is we want to make sure this is embedded into your company's program. We had some very good feedback at the last focal point, where after seeing this first video, it was a little bit more encouraging. A lot more companies wanted to take up what we're doing, and I hope today that you can also act as a body to do that and go back to your companies and help us to deploy this. And thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you.
So just firstly, I want to commend Allan and Megan for what they've done with joined up thinking. The trauma that we had in 2013, putting together the videos and the presentations, and the fact that we were asking for 30 minutes of your life every other week for time in the safety meetings was hugely challenging. But if you go look at the quality, you've got a 5-minute video there that can be deployed at any time, that's freely available, that has both the input and the output and what you can do inside discussion. It's a fantastic piece of work, and it's what, in effect, it's free for you to use. You don't have to go and create your own stuff. It's freely available to use anywhere. And that input, as Alan's requested, into 2016, what more do you want? So what more do you want this tool and this group to do for you is very, very important. So great piece of work, and just play your part in making it better, and please use it.